Before 1982, from the early days, yeah. Before that, I used to do like that popping and all that kind of business. So being involved in street dance for quite a while. Yeah. Just doing my own thing, really getting into the personal training, gymnastics, coaching, and then veering away and getting back into original things, being more creative, writing a book, getting back into the music, tiptoeing back into a bit of dancing, preparing myself to do more breakdancing, more b-boying. Personal training was kind of like, because I've always was into fitness, because I realised from an early age that when I noticed that to play basketball I had to be fit, to play American football I had to be fit, just even kicking football, to do any of my gymnastic skills, I noticed I had to have a bit of like, taught, like make sure that I had that right strong core. So I've always been into exercising, and it just branched from there of like exercising for myself and then thinking, yeah, help this brother out, he wants to get fit too. Look, do these exercises. And so I've always been dabbling in it, you know what I mean? I was born in Ladbroke Grove, in the house, on the road itself, Ladbroke Grove, but then at a young age we moved to America. So first I was in Chicago, New York for a little while, for about a year, Cleveland for a couple of years, but then we was stationed on the West Coast and I was there for like, Vegas, California, a good 9 years. So all my like early days was like, it was like a culture shock to me, from changing from playing normal football to turn into American football, basketball, and everything was turned upside down for me. So then I got into these kind of sports, My father was in the American Air Force, so he'd stay like maybe in one place 5 years, next place 3 years. Edwards Air Force Base, a small place in California, for 2 years. Other places 1 year. Mildenhall Air Force Base for a year, you know what I mean? What was that one? Greenham Common that was a short, how long was that? Maybe 9 months. But usually you get at least 2 years, but some was short stays, But I think there was something self thing, that it was something that was in me, just was into the training business, into running, it was the Bruce Lee kind of era of like wanting to be like Bruce Lee and be like Pele, being able to be really athletic and acrobatic. I was inspired by the Peking opera. I used to watched all them like late night kung fu movies. I thought, yeah, I want to be like this guy, be able to run up a wall and do a flip and all them kind of madnesses there. So it just kind of went that way. But I wasn't, consciously thinking I'm going to exercise and train like I would nowadays. That wasn't in my conscious thought. It was just something that it just evolved naturally. Like, stretching and all that. I don't even stretch as much as I used to do when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, I used to want to do them kicks, like kick the light bulb like Bruce Lee, do mad. I was just copying. And to copy that, I didn't know what was doing it. I could just tell that the brothers who could do splits could kick higher, and the ones who could do box splits could jump over things and fly their legs open, do the gymnastics business. Because before I left to go to America, I was doing a bit of gymnastics in school. And then when I went to America, they didn't have gymnastics no more. The only way you could get into gymnastics is the people on the streets, like in Chicago, they had acrobatic troops that were doing some nice stuff, but it was on the concrete. And ever since that little image stayed in my mind of all that, when they come through and everything. When I went to the West Coast, no one was really on that tip. But I kept that in me. I wanted to still do that kind of flips and handstands, and so I kept on that. I didn't know them days, early day Jackie Chan. He used to be in all them, I didn't even know who was who. I would just be watching Snake and Eagle's Claw and all them kind of movies. And then later on in life, when I watched them again, we got into breakdancing, more deeper into the b-boying, I used to just see, look, it's still Jackie Chan is there. Look, he was from time. I didn't know it. That was that brother there. You know what I mean? I didn't pay attention to the credits. I would just watch the Hong Kong movies them times. Yeah. Heartbreaking, because I'm I'm good at making friends, I would say. Excellent, in fact. So I made so many good friends in every place I went. And then it's like, you're gone, you know what I mean? So some nice connections with some huddies, you know. Because from the early days, I was loving them huddies. So I'm getting some good connection, good little networks. And then you'd have to be, boom, flying to Vegas or something. And you have this nice family vibes, you know, strong friendships in Chicago or something, you know what I mean? And in Cleveland, and yeah, man, made some good connections in New York. You know, I didn't want to leave New York when I was younger. That place was firing in the early days, yeah. Came back here when I was 21, because we toured all over Denmark doing b-boying, you know, it was called freeze frame. So yeah, I know that was 84. Before I toured Germany when we was just called a crew. Yeah, that was just me and some SLB breakers, and because of Nutriment, who did a tune with me and my mates. We did the first English hip hop tune. It's accredited to be the first English hip hop tune. Me, I think Dizzy Hype might have had a tune out kind of roughly the same time, but you know, I wasn't into caring about the record breaking and all that business. I just liked doing it, you know what I mean? And they told us they wanted a little tour where we could just go all over Germany. So we went all over Germany doing breaking. So that was like, oh, that's just making me realise, yeah, 20 I came back to England, stayed there for a good year. Funny enough, it's through the music, because I really from England, I brought on the road, man, was playing like reggae. So when I went to America, it was a culture shock. Funk, I knew James Brown because, of course, my uncles and, you know, some of my family members, we'd be playing James Brown, and he knew funk, and he knew the Motown, because that was in England, yeah? But it was like, when you went to America, it was all of a sudden bombarded with different funk, underground funk, different groups, you know what I mean? So I got more into the funk, but still tried to keep my roots with hearing the reggae and play some, and reggae was just starting to break through internationally them days. So it was good that it was breaking through, because I'd keep in touch with the reggae roots, but it was like so much new music was influencing me. Jazz, funk, Latin funk, you know what I mean? Afro funk, you know? So it was like a different world to me. I wasn't into the pop music. So in England, I was aware of more pop music. It wasn't my cup of tea. I'd like some of the pop tunes that were coming out, but I was more into funk, and just reggae, more black music when I was in America, because that's what was popping in the neighborhood. Time in the States was an eye-opener, man. I'd never come across so much racism in my whole life. I had a lot of racism thrown at me when I was in the UK, so that was like a warm-up for it, you know what I mean? Like when I was in Ladbroke Grove, it felt like it was racist, you know, you had skinheads, you had your normal kind of racism thrown at you, but this was a new level of racism thrown at you by the police, even stronger than the police were doing over here. The police was on your shit, don't get me wrong, they was on your shit over here, but over there, man, I wasn't used to getting guns put to your head, and like, you have to assume the position, and man was searching you all the time. Strip searching was like an everyday occurrence. But let me rewind. When I come to England now, strip searching, here we are, put it in the right perspective. Strip searched 3 times a week in England. In America, maybe 7 times a week. Yes, regular. Maybe twice in one day. That might have happened to me once in England, yeah. So England ain't far off their half. So it's like 50% of the time you're getting strip searched in England, yeah. 100% of the time you're getting strip searched in America. See the difference? And police brutality is on the rate. They didn't care if you was young, man. They would bop you upside your head in a minute, in the quickness. Just as you just had to be that brown colour. It don't matter if you're just a little bit shady, if you was even lighter. If you weren't all the way white, you was getting beef, man. Mexicans, everyone. They was getting Hawaiian, I don't care, Samoan, you was getting Philippines thrown up against the wall and searched on a regular. So that was a bit of maybe anti-American, if you want to say, you know. I like people in America, but not the establishment. On a weekly basis, even if you wasn't a criminality. Me, I was so sports orientated. I was so into, you name it, every sport, every team. I was in the boxing team, I was in the basketball team. Little short guy could slam dunk, you know, because I'd work hard on it. I played basketball 8 hours a day in the hot sun, you know. Day in, day out. And it was like, you know, I was avoiding all them kind of crime business, even though, you know, of course you're going to rub shoulders with criminals and, you know, you get caught up in that because they try to jump you into their gang because you're so physical. So obviously I got caught up in that life a little bit. That's what eventually made my mother send me back to England, because she didn't want me to go out like, you know, the poor brother across the road got shot in the head, my best friend, so she thought, oh, that's it. He used to run with him. Where's my son getting a car from nowhere? And he's got all these nice shoes and all that business. So obviously that life did suck me in, but I wasn't criminal minded, I would say, like what Karis One be saying. Nah, I was peace and love with everyone, never racist, even though I was getting a lot of racism thrown at me. I was never a racist type of person. I was always thinking, I hate the individuals, do not like the individuals. I wasn't gonna hate a whole, you know, I wouldn't even call it like a race, because there's only one race, the human race, but I was not hating someone from Texas if he was a white guy, someone from Colorado. I'll give him a chance, or Italian, even though sometimes groups were hating on my culture, I was not hating on no one's culture. Yeah. He was like, but he was actually connected to a proper little outfit that I can't even really go into too much details in case, you know what I mean? You can't go into them. Certain parts of my past, I don't really broadcast it. People will know, they'll know, yeah, Drew, is he still alive? That was that period of time where people are shocked that, how did this man's bulletproof or something? Because I was in some stupid, when I look back now, I obviously know I'm not indestructible, but you know, all the young brothers, all young sisters, it must be like a epidemic. We used to think we was indestructible, but it wasn't, because you're seeing people dropping. You know what I mean? It's like, so still you'd be caught up in that kind of life. Even if you're trying to get out of it, it was like some people, it was pre-written or something, because of just it's your culture, man. It's the culture that, and it's the society that is stick you in them kind of, if you're in that kind of wage bracket, because my poor pops is just like a corporal, if you ain't got the big money, if you ain't a captain or someone, if you ain't living large in a different neighbourhood, you're in that. You're in the, you know, a cesspit. I can't say it no other way. You're in the, you know what I mean? When I look back at it, it was good times, but it was wild times. I shouldn't have been accepting them times. Like, if I had the different knowledge what I have now, I'd have stayed clear of it. And a bit in Vegas when I think about it. Sorry, I would have to say, a good 2 years in Las Vegas was like, the first years is good, sports, and that's what it is. It's like a beacon. If they see anyone who's physical, they want to come and they want to get you in their crew. They want you to be rolling with them, really. They want soldiers. So that's what happens, you know, in them kind of areas. They want soldiers. Yeah, B-boy. Yeah, it's hard for me to say sometimes B-boy. People don't understand what you're saying. That's why I say breakdancing, but really I know it's B-boy. It saved me, man. You know what was so crazy? Because in LA, it's such a culture shock. People don't realize how different states are in America. I can tell you now that Los Angeles and Las Vegas are so close, but they're two different worlds. When you take Chicago, it's a different world. How I was living in Chicago compared to how I was living in Las Vegas or California, LA, or how the New Yorkers live, it was so different, man. It was like you might as well be in England because they're that different. When I was in come and do some popping in Chicago, the man wanna throw stones at you. What are you doing? This is not Chi-Town business. You know what I mean? You have to be the Chi-Town vibes. They got such different vibes. It was more standing out. Now they want a more uniform. They all want to be Bloods and Crips, but it wasn't like that. Before it was like, you had to be like how it was in Chicago. You had to be in that kind of vibes. You're into the funk. You dance like how we do. They listen to the house music and, you know what I mean? They're different. They was really closed-minded. It's the only way you could see it. So of course some of the older heads would know, but they wasn't having it. You know what I mean? So the music kind of just controlled me from a young age. I was on a DJ tip. I used to always like to play my records. I went through the times when before they had Technique 1200s and playing parties everywhere. So that kept me out of it. That kept me a bit out of it. I got to see different neighborhoods and got to have to run away from different neighborhoods because people are like so territorial in that America place. So that music kind of made me just surf through different neighborhoods, and I could see that it could bridge the gap. Because when I saw like a brother called Hurt and Bad, he was like the early day DJs like cool DJ Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out and them brothers. They used to play parties, and they could play in places where you'd have two different gangs and everything be calm. There would be no war because every man's making a little bit of money on the side, but still dancing and just chirping girls. And at the end, there'd be kick-off and there'd be a little bit of war. And then, everyone have to break out. And I was thinking, boy, these men are mashing up the monies for themselves. No one was like really thinking of how it could be just money, and this is a new way of making money. From then I knew it was a new way of making money, but that wasn't driving me. I just loved to entertain. I didn't even realise it in them days. I like to pop, and the people would go, oh, that brother can pop good. Then you and your partners could pop. But it seemed like it was too deeply embedded with gangsterism. Everything was in America is built on gangsterism. Who can hold their own money? Who's going to try and extort you? Who's going to try and rob you? It's just the same with certain ends everywhere. But it was like in your face all the time. People want to jack you for your trainers. Ain't no one jacking me for my trainers, because that was like your sneakers, you know what I mean? That was your car, man. Some people had it like that in their head. So because people see me like that, I got caught up in them kind of things. You always was on that defending, respect, you're drawing the line in the sand business, you know what I mean? So the music got me out of that mentality. It made me think, look, I'm going to do something with this music. If it's just doing the house parties, yeah, I'm going to do the popping. The popping is going to take me places. When I saw a little bit of breaking in New York, I thought I'm going to mix this with breaking with popping. So anytime I went on holiday and went to New York, I'd learn a bit of breaking. Then I'd come back to LA. The man wasn't even breaking. They were just doing their popping still. But as soon as the man saw the breaking, that was it. Things started changing, because you could see that this is going to do something. People started having little crews, man. They've always had a little bit of locking crews and popping crews, but when the breaking came now, that was different. That was like a thing to them that thought whoa, this is something you could dive into. This is something that could change things, and it did. It changed. It changed that world. You know what I mean? People for a little while, it was like a little breathing. LA wasn't the scare no more. People used to call it the scare at the time when I was young, growing up, because people were just getting whacked, homie. Little ones all the time. Stray bullets, everything. America's a horrible place already, but it was more on a level you wouldn't understand. People was just getting shot all the time, stab up. 77, 78, 79. Yeah, people was getting missing, homie. And what was so bad, it was that was always in Chicago and certain places in LA and all that business, but it was getting ridiculous. It was always changing, which was the murder capital. But it was always everyone from a certain age, what age was I don't know, 16, even lower, to 25, that was it. You was getting smoked, even if you wasn't even in the lifestyle. So that's how bad it was. People just even rubbing shoulders or mistaken ID, so much people was getting whacked. So that when that calm come when the music was getting DJ'd now. You know what I mean? When the first early DJs, before even the Technique 1200s, there's the early DJs times now. Everyone likes the clubbing and the house parties and the park jams are starting to fly everywhere. You notice that's when it got really calm. And then this after parties and after the park jam, that's when people was getting smoked. But because it wasn't all the time now, it was less. It was it was calming everything down. All this dancing and hip hop business. Yeah. Similar, because it's the same kind of thing. It's always about the drugs. It's all about trying to make the fast money. It seems like the same kind of thing, and people stamping on each other to get the next one up and run the things and have more money and have more control. And it's always about control. It's always about who controls this area, who controls that drugs, and the arms come into it, and then respect and drawing lines in the sand is always I've been about 3 tours, you know. I've been in tour Germany. That was all over Germany, just doing rapping and breaking, yeah, b-boying basically and rapping for one tune, yeah. Then when I went to Denmark though, that was like, oh, when was that one? That was 83, yeah, all over Germany. 84 for like much longer. It was all over Scandinavia, Denmark, Norway, bits of Sweden, yeah, and that was just b-boy, breaking, dancing from like every part of Denmark, Norway, you name it, all up and down. Sweden, my days, homie. France, how comes I was in France then? Okay, France must have done a little bit of touring there, yeah, because they tell you can't come into the club, basically, a white-only club, you know what I mean? So in Denmark, it wasn't so bad. In certain lots of cities, it wasn't so bad. I think they're more liberal, but obviously they had like their little pockets. Sweden felt bad. Norway didn't feel so bad either. Certain pockets, they're more liberal, but they would definitely have it in certain parts, you know what I mean? But it was felt less than England, you know? I went all over Italy too one time, but that was different as in the 90s with Ronnie Jordan. I was just doing MCing and breaking again with a jazz brother. Yeah. I went through when they had Berlin, this is how long ago, it was split. They had the wall them days. You had to go into like East Berlin, sorry, and it was Eastern Germany. Basically, we was advised to have CS gas because of the skinheads, because of like if they catch you out there, they're gonna mash you up, you know. So certain parts it's been that. It's been like you definitely have to hold it down, you know what I mean? You know, with everything, it's like the gymnastics. I didn't know that was going to take me to the breaking. It's just because you share the love of physically controlling what you can do with your body that took me to the breaking. Because the popping, which I regret to this very day, the level I got with popping was ridiculous. And all the times a certain level I got with breaking, I regret is ridiculous. Because I'm doing too much, it's like what you said to me earlier, specialise. I know that for a fact. Because I got so good at doing somersaults one time, I could go so high, round off backflip somersault. I got so good with twisting myself up with the breaking and the popping, that if I just specialised in certain things, every now and again I would spend like a month getting deep with it, going to the lab, like how you do with your raps or something, and boy, you could get some deep breaking that no one else is doing. But I didn't stick with it because there was too much other things going on at the same time, you know what I mean? And it was the same way that with the PT, it has come to me like, look, I'm doing circus. I don't know, throw this into the mix for you. Doing circus and it's getting me to go to different countries. And I'm doing break dancing and I'm doing like, you know, teaching acrobatics. I'm thinking, look, I know all this knowledge, but someone with a paper is making money from this and I can make money from this teaching business and I'm not doing it. I started slowly teaching break dancing to people and street dance, and I thought, you know what I mean? Look, listen, I'm going to do something with this. All these 3 elements I'm doing, they need physical fitness. I notice I can do stripping this. I can do 30 odd, 40 odd pull-ups, chin-ups easily. You know, I've got to pass this on. There's something in this that I could pass on to people and keep them fit. So from there, I thought to myself, I want to do a gym instructor course. I want to help people get fit for when they want to do breakdancing. That's how it first started, just to get them fit enough to do breakdancing. And then it just went more and more into personal training. And I just thought, yeah, I might as well do this. I can do this easily. Oh, I can teach people how to flip, gymnastics. Let me get the paper because then I'm qualified. Session, because there was a time when I was actually going to international breakdancing competitions, yeah, I was into that. You know, like I told you, I just go really deep into this training and get myself on point to prove to myself I'm a good breaker, you know what I mean? Then it was after I did my first like judging internationally when I decided to myself, look, I'm a judge now at breaking. I've maybe nearly hit it. I've not hit my pinnacle. I could go deeper. I've not hit my peak. But I want to go into this personal training now, and that was definitely like, I think 2002, them times there, 2002. Gymnastics just to kind of around the same time. Because, yeah, 2003, 2004. Five-ish, yeah. Everything this goes into, it's not, nothing, I wish I was a kind of organised, planned out person, but nah. This lady was doing a circus thing and saw me in the same hall where I used to teach my breakdancing and thought, you'd be natural to this kind of circus stuff with your acrobatics. Why don't you come and do some of these trapeze lessons and da-da-da-da-da-da? And I got to talking to her. Lou, this strong lady, you know, she was into doing like some serious like cordelice and acrobatics and like trapeze business. And I started doing some classes with her, and she wanted to learn some like freezes and stuff because she was into the yoga. So then it was like a changing of ideas, and then like, because at that time we was like making a fresh and funky class with actual like breaking, and because I had a friend who was into contemporary, she was doing like my missus now was into doing like contemporary dance, and I was showing her how to do breaking. I'm not no contemporary dancer, so she was showing a contemporary dance, and we would do locking and popping because I knew that from day one, and it was bringing in so many different people together. From there, we just went to like the Arts Council and said, look, we want to put a show together. Well, we figured it out properly. First time ever I got organised in my life. Made like a dance company. Mamma mia, did it take off. We was doing shows all over the gaff. We was touring again, but it was different this time. I wasn't touring for someone making them lots of money. I was touring for ourselves. And we like from that we started doing a lot of teaching all over. Because a lot of like the little guys I used to teach breakdance and got to a good level, so we had to go competitions. And it was after them when they was getting 18 and all that kind of business. So there's in 2000 and, I wish I knew these dates. It's so long ago. It was like in the times when we had the VHR still. Is that 2004, 5, 6, 7? And stop, when did we get in? Yeah, it's all in them days. For a good 4 years, brother was like a circus head without even realising it. Because we used to go Circus Space when Circus Space was free to get into on a Sunday. But on Curtin Street, Circus Space. So before they used to have the degree course there, it just used to be a circus space where, you know, circus performers would just go and train. And because of that lady, Lou, got into the circus people without even realising, you know what I mean? Wasn't really... And then from there, people sometimes used to want you to be in their company to do a show here. Them times I really got a lot of work, you know? Wow. I would really say she was a mentor without even realising it, because I didn't know nothing about doing the hocks and, you know, candlesticks or whatever you call them, meat hooks and all this kind of business there. She was like, it was just teaching us all the time and all the tricks on the rope and cordelice. Yeah, definitely. Well, I had a circus accident in, when was that? When I went to, we used to do quite a few festivals all up and down the country, and I fell off the trapeze doing a circus thing because we wasn't supposed to do a show, long story quite short. And was knackered, and they said, no, you do have to come and do this show. So we done the show, and I did a new trick that I didn't even know. I was a bit into doing tricks straight away, and blam, mash up. So I was out of it for a while. Thank God it was on the beach, so when I did the drop, when I thought I broke my neck, nothing broken though. So it's like, for a good year, I couldn't even break Raz. It's like, I just stopped for a year. But then I come back, I was doing flips and stuff a year after, but I kind of made me realise I have to just specialise. Me, I love breaking too much. Because before that, boy, I'll get any move. After that, I had to wait for a while. I had to build back up. You know what I mean? I never wanted to feel that feeling again. Couldn't break, you know. Couldn't do no flips. Couldn't do no backflips. Things I take for granted, you know. Somersaults or whatever. Couldn't do that. Flipping Harley Street, physiotherapists, hospital, GPs. Man said, you ain't going to be able to do handstands no more. You ain't going to be able to do this no more. You ain't going to be able to do that. My friend Howard sent me to this Dr. Lee, a Chinese brother, looked at my hands and said, look, you can't bend it like that. You got to, I wish you came in quicker. And he started making me make a fist and brought me up. Listen, homie, I could do chin-ups again. Thank God for this brother, Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee made my hand come back. He's a Chinese brother, used to be, I'd have to find out from Howard exactly the address, because like, I used to go there and he sorted me out, man. Where was it again? It wasn't Harley Street was all right, but they was all with the normal format of what you're supposed to do, pick up the paper and, you know, the normal things. And they wasn't expecting me to be able to take my weight on my hands no more and nothing like that. He's a sports massage person, but before he was a b-boy. He was just a b-boy, you know what I mean? That's what he used to be. Just me used to be breaking in the early days. Yeah. Opportunity to help others who had situations like what I felt like before, where, boy, I don't even know if I'll be able to walk. I'm going to make sure I can walk. I'm going to make sure I can do handstands. You know, I was taking myself back to trying to be an elite athlete without even realising it. And I thought to myself, I can help people who think they can't get their goals. So I used to work there voluntarily for a good 6 months, I think, maybe, before I finally got a post there. So it was the next organically, you know, move again. I didn't really go out of my way to work for Ability Bow. I just thought I could help out. Ability Bow it's like a company that helps people with disabilities, making gym it's inclusive for everyone who can go. So there wasn't like some gyms, people with wheelchairs and with certain conditions, they couldn't use their facilities. So they was 100% for people who had disabilities. That's what they was. It was like working with kids, working with teenagers, commercial gyms, then Virgin Active. That's what I meant, right? And started doing like, you know, normal PT. Right. Early days, it was different, shock to the system. Because at the early days, I used to do my own thing in parks. And then I used to teach either breakdancing or fitness. I used to teach people fitness so they could do breakdancing. And that was more lucrative. And then I kind of thought like, nah, let me get more into the gyms. Because that's where the money's supposed to be. Well, that's what I used to think. And then I went all the like Virgin Actives. It's gone full circle. I'm back in the parks again, working for our parks now, and teaching fitness classes in the park. Yeah. Just do like skip fit, dance fit, our circuit. They have different kind of classes, you know, box fit, you name it. They got a different class, cardio tennis. It's just like for people who want to come and they get free, like coaching for an hour, and it's in an outside environment where they feel like you don't have to spend no money. You can just come there, you don't need the equipment. Maybe you need a tennis racket, or maybe you just need to have a mat. If you want to do some sit-ups and all that, they do the core, the whole shebang, whole body workout, calisthenics. Yeah. Involved in the scene, just teach my kids. Want to break out and teach again? I'm gonna stick back. I'm gonna get back into it. I can see it. I'd have to just make a little bit of money, get some sports massage, and get broke up by the osteopath. Then I'm gonna go all out on it. Matter of fact, yeah, Pineapple, good. When did I get there? I used to teach at Dance Works, Pineapple, Dance Factory, Arts Factory, Jackson's Lane, The Rock in Brixton, and used to teach so much all over the place. But I used to work for myself. Used to be my own company. Oh, Feats Per Minute, but that was our own company. That's the only time we had a kind of title. I've had a title for myself teaching. It was through Feats Per Minute, FPM. But all the other times I'm teaching breakdancing, I was teaching for myself. Yeah. And that's like before 2000, all the way up until maybe just even two years ago. I stopped teaching at Pineapple. I passed it on to my mates. That's how I used to do all the time. I used to just pass jobs on to my friends after I've got tired of doing maybe teaching there for 10 years or whatever. I just pass it on, give them a day. Because I used to be in Pineapple 3 days a week, just teaching breakdancing. I'm getting into the writing books. And a friend told me what he was telling me today is exactly what I want to do. I'm going to put more time into myself now. And then when I get myself strong again, I can give more again, you know, because I know more. So I'm going to do things I really love now, like because of the breaking I love so much. I noticed because of the ability bow and all this come up and all this sitting down business. B-boy and breakdancing, you have to put your whole body into it 24/7. You got to sleep, dream, think, B-boying. But that's what I used to do. So now I need to do that, do more writing, more hip hop, you know, more living that. Then I'm gonna branch out, get back into a bit of personal training. But I see myself doing as much dancing as possible before I can't do it no more. And then all on that physical tip, you know, the mad freezes, flips, discover. So, because before I used to feel like I could invent a flip. That was my goal, invent a new flip. But now, because I've been sitting down and personal training and writing reports and doing all this studying business, it takes you away from that. So that's why I want to get back into that. Current fitness industry has always been going through fads. Always, this is good for you, this is bad for you, good for you, bad for you. You know, which ways is the right way, and the proof is in the pudding, you know what I mean? So many things work and so many things don't work, and some things might work for some people and won't work for that same person for someone else. So everything is more tailor-made. The fitness industry is a money-making industry. So sometimes you feel you don't have people's best interests at heart. But if you can get people who are really passionate about training people, when you get that every now and again, that special, it's good. There's good people in this fitness industry, and there's a lot of phony baloney. What made me want to write a book, when I read the book about racism in the UK and the way they dealt with it, it made me know that it's like they were saying you can't tell anyone. Now, what is it called again? I read it so long ago. If you're black, if you're white, you wouldn't really accept that there's racism. It was the whole thing they was trying to give to you, like. I can't remember the name of the book. See, racism. Why I don't talk about racism. That made me look at it and like I wanted to really expand on it. I didn't want to come with all the time facts. I wanted to let people know how it was growing up in the UK being black. Even though I zapped out, I always used to come back in the summertime and could see the effect. And when I went to Carnival and the riots, and I could see. So I wanted to talk about a time, and I researched it before I was even born, and the whole build up to how it's like to be black in the UK. You know what I mean? So I wanted to show that. So that's what I'm going to try and show in my book. Yeah, there's from Labrador Grove. So I dug deep into the Notting Hill riots and before the lead up to it, and about, you know, Rackman and the slum lords and the whole, you know what I mean? The whole Teddy Boy thing, and, you know, I talked to people even out of the area, see how it was affecting them even around the outskirts, further afield, and, you know, the whole feel of the Caribbeans, how they felt like they fought the war for the country and then yet they couldn't find a place to stay. They'd have like no blacks, Irish or dogs. We don't take none of them, you know? So I looked into the whole thing, and then I took it as a personal crusade to put a real story out there about what happened in them days. Not just always the facts. Build up some characters so people can identify with it, you know, more. Not put their back up and thinking, nah, it's not like that. They got a chip on their shoulder. La la la. I wanted to break through the barriers. You would hope that it went further, but it's gone this. I never noticed this, but things go around in cycles. So, you know, with all the Brexiting thing, they just got someone new to point the finger at. You know, they used to not hate like Asian people, then they don't like the West Indians, then they don't, you know, I'm not giving you the right order how it went. They don't like Irish, and then they don't like Polish, and then they don't like Portuguese, and they didn't like Turkish, and they didn't like Moroccans, and it's always been on that level. So, because we're an island, they could just always like, it's all this divide and conquer business. They always like to point at the rich don't like poor, and so I just noticed that it hasn't really evolved. It's not really got any better. It's still got hate crime, you know. It's still